Dylan and Scott, why don't you guys, feel free to comment on this, but I want to get some sense. There's some real estate stuff that's going on as well. One photo, one story I captured here. Let me show the screenshot there. Yeah. So if you look on the right-hand side here, this other story, realtor survey finds alarming number of Oahu tenants unable to pay their rent in June. Now that's a rental issue, but that makes me want to ask you guys, give us the quick, what's going on with the market? What's changed? What insights do you have? What things have been happening? Dylan, let's start with you just because you're next to me on the row here.
Well, on the Big Island, it was actually June. The June data was somewhat of a bright spot given the last few months. And although we're still down in terms of the number of homes selling, we're down 23%. So last year in June, 209 homes sold. And then this year in June on the whole Big Island, 160 homes sold, which seems like a significant drop, about 50 homes, 49 homes less. But in May, there was only 132 homes sold. So we saw a bounce back from the steady decline starting in March of the number of closings that we had here on the Big Island. So we'll see if that recovery continues. Again, like we've been saying the last few shows, the median price has not fallen. So the median price was actually up 3% from a year ago, despite the reduction in the number of homes selling. The homes that are selling are still selling at higher price points. So we'll see a little bit of a bright spot in June, but time will tell if this thing continues to push on. It may be just the local buyers' confidence came back and they're continuing to buy. And I'm writing a kind of record number of sight unseen offers. So people that are familiar with areas, that are ready to buy, that want to move here, are willing to just purchase. And then when they can come, they're going to come and they'll have a home ready to go when they get here. So we're definitely seeing that also.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So, Scott, what are you seeing? What's going on Oahu?
Yeah, the market actually is interesting. It's doing a little bit of what I thought it was going to be doing. So when we first started off, the first month of COVID data had number of new listings off by 44% compared to the same time last year, and I expected as stay-at-home started to get lifted and things started to open up the economy a little more, that would increase, and that's where we're at. The number of new listings is only off 27% now, so we have more sellers coming back on the willing to come on the market, getting closer to where we were the same time last year. The interesting data also is that the number of closed sales was only off 15% this past month, and for the last 7 days is only off 10%. So strong buyer demand still. Sellers are willing to come on the market, but the buyer demand actually has been increasing, and that's due to low interest rates. I'm running 6 escrows right now and writing another offer, and 5 of those are above asking and 1 is at list price. And same thing with Dylan. I talked to someone this morning about a listing I have coming up on the North Shore, and we were talking. They've got 3 escrows that were sight unseen buyers as well. They're not going to see the property prior to closing. And I actually was chatting with another person about some of the idea of what we've been talking about here being a safe place to buy. It's more removed, it's more isolated, and it's sped up some people's process for purchasing a property where they can get to, this kind of safer feeling. They can, stay in this place that's a little more relaxing and feel safer in an environment, a warm environment.
That's a really interesting thing. So, we've talked about this we've talked about the COVID thing at every show, and the consistent message I'm getting is that, there's so far we're not seeing a huge drop off in prices, which I think what everyone would be concerned about one way or another, right? If the drop doesn't seem to be coming, the cliff ain't there.
It's very neighborhood centric or area centric. So like when I pulled Waikiki data, new listings are down 40%, which is still on that same range. New escrows are off 50%, and sales are down 58%. So second home market Waikiki is very different than what's going on in the normal general local buying population market here.
Is there any sense of what's happening to the listing prices in Waikiki?
Yeah, they're not actually being, it's funny, we have some slides on that where I was just looking at that yesterday. We're not having a bunch of price reductions. They're staying the same. Waikiki actually got hit by three things during this past year. One was just a general kind of slowing down. We've been on an 8-year cycle, so it was kind of leveling off. Then that transient bill kicked in and hurt Waikiki, and now COVID. So you're looking at a couple of different things that are affecting that Waikiki market, which is why I feel like positioning now in that market for the long term over a 10-year cycle is a really good opportunity.
Interesting. We have a couple of related questions that came on this on the coronavirus related topic here, and I just want to read this off and see if you guys want to talk about some more. So this came from Dave and Linda, and they're saying, after Oahu opens back up, the state's going to open back up, do you think more homes will go on the market? We are planning to locate to the Hawaii Kai area. Also, do you project a spike in real estate market prices, or do you believe they will remain steady as they were prior to COVID-19? Is there anything you want to add to that we haven't already addressed, either Scott or Dylan? Scott, how about you first?
Yeah, no, I just talked about it. We are seeing more listings come on the market. So I do expect it. The safer things get, the more comfortable people are going to get to making that change in their life, to kind of getting back to a normalcy of making that move in whatever way it is. The key here is our price is going to spike once we add the offshore buyer pool. They will, as long as things are safe and as long as people are able to come here, because we still have an imbalance right now. Prices are going up a little bit. There's more buyers in the market than sellers, but that's just local buyers. Now, if you add in the offshore or the off-island buyer at that point, the number of sellers that are going to offset that is not going to be equal. And yeah, we should have restricted supply.
So Dylan, are you kind of, to Dave and Linda's question, do you see a spike kind of happening? Do you see things going steady? If you had to put your little crystal ball on, what would you kind of say what do you foresee happening, let's say over the next 3 to 6 months?
No, I think things will stay steady. I mean, as like Scott said, as listings come back on the market, as things normalize, I mean, it's not like there's going to be a spike in listings. I think they're just going to return back to pre-COVID, January, February numbers. But definitely there's still that buyer demand is there. In the last, since the last show, I wrote 2 offers that were over asking price and got beat on both of them. Didn't get the property. And I have a listing that got 4 offers, 2 of them being over asking price. So the buyer demand is there. As long as properties are priced properly, they're going to continue to sell. And it's just a matter of being ready to go when you're ready to go. And that's one thing that I'm seeing people are being more proactive about now, is instead of just kind of waiting to get pre-qualified or waiting to put their house on the market. I have several clients that are putting their house on the market in the mainland now, even if they do have to rent maybe in the short term. So they got that cash ready to go. So when they're ready to pull the trigger and come, they got that cash in hand to buy. So that buyer demand is going to be there. And I think that's going to drive. The other dynamic maybe though, is that I'm also talking to people who, are thinking about maybe relocating back to the mainland, who don't want to anymore, because this has changed their perspective on, whatever it was that was drawing them back to the mainland, maybe grandkids, better healthcare, lower cost of living. They're balancing that stuff out and maybe thinking, maybe I should bring the kids over here and just deal with the healthcare and, deal with the cost of living because of all the, not just COVID issues, but all of the upheaval that we're seeing across the mainland right now.
Let's see. Let's move over to where there's rioting and outbreak. Yeah, yeah. Let's go there. Yeah,
it's not a hard sell.
It's not a hard sell. What's remarkable about this? What really strikes me about this is that I've been in Hawaii since the mid '80s, so I've been through lots of ups and downs, lots of recessions. What's been amazingly remarkable to me is how steady and how sort of solid the real estate market is. I mean, I think the last time there was like any sort of a crash was when the Japanese vacated the market. This was back in the early '90s. And that wasn't even that bad. But Hawaii's market it's amazingly stable, amazing. And during the 2008 recession, et cetera. Scott, you want to kind of throw a thing on that?
Yeah, and to talk about the Japanese market, because I've kind of studied that, and my father comes from tech and whatnot, but we didn't have the internet back then. And during the Japanese boom, 6 months of inventory was what was on the market, and we had 20% price appreciation. 6 months of inventory now is a balanced market for us. The internet completely changed the speed of sale. They remove barriers of entry for people to come here and be able to buy. So we're sitting right now at 2.5 months of inventory, which should equate to to 10% price appreciation. That's amazing. And I attribute that to the internet, because before you had to get on a plane, come over here, find a realtor, go drive through neighborhoods. Now you're doing Google Street View. We got video, high res photos. You're doing all your research. So when you get here, that process is sped up. That's completely changed our marketplace here and removed barriers of entry and added more demand to this place where we're always limited in supply.
It's remarkable. The internet and of course our show is changing everything about real estate. At least that's my story. I'm sticking with it. So give a quick shout out to Linda. Yeah, Linda, we wish you could afford to move your family back to Hawaii too. Well, keep working at it. Don't give up. And I'm sure you can make that happen with the right good luck and some prayers. All right, let's.